class. All right. So who would I pick to help me with? Okay, Klaus. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon. So please, can you help me? I want to work with you. If at any point you can't see my screen, just alert me. Would that be nice? Hello, Klaus. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry,
I
I was
think.
trying to.
All right. So if at any point you can't see my screen, please let me know.
Yeah, all right, all right.
You can see my screen now, right?
Yes, very good, very
Yes, I,
good.
yes, I.
Okay. So please, I would want you to be functional because you're talking on behalf of everyone. Now, aside him, if apart from you want to speak, maybe you can't see my screen or anything, just comment on the group so that we know. Okay. Now, just to recap from our last class, functions. Functions, as you know, actually perform a particular task and they help as reusable blocks of code to perform a particular activity. So let's say you're trying to build a human being, you build a function that helps the human being take his or her bath. You build also another function that aids the human being brushes his or her teeth, and you build another function that helps the human being eat their meals so that they can stay healthy. So function is just that block of code responsible for a particular task that is responsible to carry out a particular task. They are reusable, so you can use them multiple times, more than once. You can use them more than 10 times as you wish. As you wish. So that um, that aside, how do you now create a function? If you watched the recording from our last class, you would see that we talked very deeply about function. So all you need is to write the function keyword, which is function. After you write the function, you write the function name. What name do you want to give the function? If it is eating, you write it here. If it is brushing, you write it here. So it will be function space eating, function space brushing, function space sleeping. What function do you want to carry out? This is how you write a function. Then inside this bracket is where you write your parameters. So what are the properties of the function? If the function is responsible for adding two numbers together, you notify it here. Inside your curly braces is where you write the code to execute. And so as simple as possible. But that's not the business for today. That's just me recapping from our last class. Klaus, please, am I still audible and are you still able to see
Yeah,
my screen?
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Now, today we'll be talking about loops. I know my colleague actually taught on loops, but I really want to teach about it so that we gain better understanding. Thus far, I've received some assignments and I've not marked one. Not because I'm not impressed, but because I want us to understand what we are doing. Understanding is greater than just doing something. So you must break the tradition of I just want to do it for grades. Then switch over to understanding. So you must understand what you're doing, understand the logic, use it to solve problems, and quit doing traditional way of just wanting to do an assignment. So let's continue. What is a loop? What is a loop? Now, thus far, we've talked about some terms in JavaScript. These terms aid you to build and develop web pages and make them functional. Yes. So it's like learning English language. You know that we have the alphabet for you to memorize. You need to know what a verb is. You need to know what an adjective is. You need to know what a noun is, and so on and so forth. And after you're able to actually learn all of that, you now go on to make sentences. You go on to make proper writings. That's what we are currently doing. So we've been able to learn what the definition of JavaScript. We've been able to learn data types, variables, objects, array, function, which was the last thing we learned. Today we are moving over to loops. We've also learned arithmetics. Now, a loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times until a certain condition is met. A loop is used to meet a certain condition. It is used to actually iterate over codes until a certain condition is met. Let me say that again. A loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times until a certain condition is met. Please let it stick in your brain. For Mudashiru, I don't know the person that asked, he was asking what is the difference between a function and loops. You write a function and you use loop to actually make that function repeatable. It's very deep, but in the best way to actually make you understand this. Every single one of them have their uses. You want to perform a particular task. Let's say you want to create a function that enables users to do a particular activity on your web page. You write a function. Now, you want that you want these users to be able to actually repeat, to be able to actually do something repeatedly over and over again. Loops can actually aid you in carrying out activities on your web page. You can have an endless activity. Yes, you can have an endless activity. You can have something that doesn't end. You can have a UI. You can have an UI that does not end. It goes on repeatedly. Loops actually aid you to actually perform those kind of activities. Going forward, what are the types of loops? I'm going to demonstrate every single one of them using codes because it's a practical class and a theoretical class side by side. Now we have four loops. We have for loop, we have while loop, we have do while loop, we have for off loop, we have for in loop. Always make sure your loop has an exit condition, otherwise it can run forever. Yes. Now, an example of a loop in real life, an example of a loop in real life is being able to breathe. Yes, being able to breathe. As funny as it seems, it just entered my head. It's an example of a loop. Why do I say so? You would continue breathing till your lungs fail. Shocking, right? You would continue breathing till your lungs fail, and your lungs cannot really allow you breathe well. You would continue breathing till you, God forbid, or it won't be our portion. A person would never breathe again, or Now, how would I construct this? Okay, a person would have difficulties in breathing till he or she contacts asthma. Asthma is a disease that actually affects your lungs and your breathing, um, your breathing ability. You know, so you continue breathing unless all of this, and a person might stop breathing if he or she dies. The death is the condition. The asthma that the person contacts is a condition. The lungs, cancer of the lungs or whatever, lungs failing is a condition. So breathing is endless. You go to bed, you're breathing. Even while sleeping, you're breathing. While while reading, you're breathing. While listening to this class, you're breathing. Breathing is endless. Oxygen is available for you to breathe, you know. But you would stop breathing only if a condition is met, God forbid. So just try to relate that with loops. Now we have these types of loops. Now for the benefit of we not getting information overload and confusing ourselves, I hate making people confused. In as much as I'm trying to convey the concept to you, I don't want them to disturb you till you apply them. Yes. So I I'm also being hard on you and I'm also being soft on you. Software engineering shouldn't be something that is termed as a big mountain. That this is you need it's a hard nut to crack. No, I'm not an advocate for that. So I would, in as much as I would convey some terms and some logics to you, I wouldn't want you to always be so worrisome about being able to understand everything in one day. My teacher who taught me some years back would always say, if it doesn't confuse you, if it doesn't keep you so depressed and confused, then it's not code. So, in as much as I will teach you something now, I don't expect you to grasp the concept immediately. I expect you to grasp the concept the day I tell you to carry out a particular assignment and apply it. I'm going to demonstrate. Why am I saying all of this? I'm about to write an example of each of these loops. You know, I'll write them and show you how they work. I don't expect you to start asking me how, when should I do this, when should I do this. Understand the concepts. Understand that a loop is this first. Yes, when you understand a loop is this first, then I want you to now go further and now understand how to apply them and when to apply them. So don't jump the process of A. From A, you do not count B, C, you moved over to J, G. So take it one step at a time. Let's continue. Now, the first one on our list is follow. Um, what's the name? Klaus. Klaus, please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Going forward, this is a for loop. I would show us and then probably show us how create our own. Class, my network shaked a bit. Can you still see my screen and hear me audibly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is it, right? Now let's go back to let me zoom out. I think this is much better. Let me go back to that slide and then let me go back to the definition. A loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times until a certain condition is met. A loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times until a certain condition is met. Now, let me take out this. Yes. Now, what is a for loop? Merely looking at this, a for loop is used. Let me add for to it since we are talking about for loop. A for loop is used to repeat a block of code till a certain condition is met. Now, there is no block of code currently in this for loop. This for loop now is currently empty. If you watch well, VS Code is asking, where is your expression? Where is your code? I cannot repeat any block of code without you providing any block of code. So you need to provide a block of code. So a loop is used to repeat a block of code multiple times till a condition is met. There is no block of code and there is no condition. The for loop is just there waiting for me. I already have a output that I want. When the condition is met, there's nothing there, it's just there. Now now what is our code? Where is our code? Now mind you, this is not a function. This is just for loop. This is not a function, this is just for loop. Don't get it twisted. Now, this is an example. You're learning for loop for the first time. Now, let's come inside our parenthesis, our parameter bracket. Now we have let I equals to 0, semicolon. I less than 5, then I plus plus. What did I teach you guys about the increment network? Class, can you still hear me and see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let I equals to 0 and if I less than 5, I plus plus. That is as simple as it is explanatory. Now, if you remember well, your last class, I taught you guys about arithmetics, and plus plus means when plus plus to any plus two plus symbols actually signifies what? An additional number to any or numeric figure. So if it is 50, it will become 51. Now let me continue. Now let's I equals to 0. I has been attached to 0. 0 has been stored inside I. So wherever I is, I would be. That's the first thing, is to initialize whatever you want to initialize. So we are initializing I to 0. So wherever I is now, I will be seen as 0. Going forward, if I is less than 5, which is 0, and we all know 0 is less than 5, then I should plus plus. That means 0 should increase. Simple. If the first step is for you to initialize whatever you want to initialize. This is just for learning purposes and it's because it's your first time. So once you initialize I equals to your 0, the next thing I did was give it a condition. Remember, going back to our definition, repeat a block of code multiple times until a condition is met. The condition we gave it was are I less than 5. If I is less than 5, then increase I small, give I small number, and then give an output. As simple as that. Let me change this hello world to count since we are dealing with numbers. So let's see the output of this. All right, all right. Now, what has happened there? So you can see, oh, sorry. Now, as you can see, our output is out, count 0, count 1, count 2, count 3, and count 4. It stopped at count 4. It did not move above 5 or even 5. Now, what has happened? Let's go back to our definition and relate this. Now, a loop is used to repeat a block of code. Pause. Let I equals to 0. 0 is the starting point. Now, remember, repeat a block of code. Let I equals to 0. I is less than 5. If I is less than 5, that's the condition. That's the condition there. I know you cannot see the if, but I'm just giving you just imagine if there. Now, I less than 5, I should just be plussing up. It should just be repeating. So the first thing the first output 0, the second output 1, just like that. Till it will just be repeating continuously till it gets to 4. And remember, we put 5 here. So if I go back and I put, let me say I change the 5 to 10. Let's see, it will be repeating it. That's why it's called a loop. A loop is actually used to repeat blocks of code repeatedly, just continuously. So if I go here and run our code again, so you can see it repeated the code the first time from 0. It repeated the code again, 1. It repeated the code again, 2. The third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, sixth time, seventh time, eighth time, up to 9. When it got to 9, it stopped. That's because the maximum number I gave it is 10. It shouldn't pass 10. That's the condition. Once it gets to 10, stop. Don't exceed 10 and don't even count. Don't even get to 10. Just stop at 9. That's the condition, you know. In all of these, the summary of for loop is it actually works with whatever you give it and it repeats it till your condition is met. Let's go over to the next one because of time. The next one on our list is called the while loop. I won't spend much time on the rest of them because I believe we have a mental understanding of it. All right, so this is how a while loop works. Let me run it. Continuously, continuously. Now, what has happened? I gave it a condition. A while loop runs continuously depending on the condition you gave it to actually perform. Now, what I did was um, this is going to run as small as it's going to run as long as I want it to run. You can see it's counting 3,000, 4,000. You can see 42,000. See, it can be like this till tomorrow, even till next month. Just power up your laptop. It will continue like this. This will keep on counting till any time you want. Now, if I go back, let me stop it. If I go back and then I change this, let's now see. So you can see that the while loop did not run. You use while loop when you want to run something for a long period of time in most cases. But a while loop is also used to actually run repeated activity, run a particular code endlessly till maybe when maybe if you put a definite condition. This is how a while loop runs. Now, I know most persons will start getting confused. Please don't get confused. I will try as much as possible to actually um, maybe drop more resources. Our next class, I'll also do more examples of real-time loop examples that we can use and apply to our project. I'll also do a poll. I know I saw the assignment. I saw you were also giving assignment related to it. We'll also do a poll in the class group to decide which day we can meet, to actually flesh out the assignments one by one, and then we'll know where we messed up and do our corrections. So let's continue. Our next loop is called that should be the dual loop. Abi, yeah, dual loop, correct. Now, first thing is your initialization. So I equals to 0, I equals to 0, do, this time do, not while, do console.log. Now, in JavaScript, I forgot to tell us. In JavaScript, we count from. Let me just quickly add this so that we know. In JavaScript, if you have 10 persons name, let's say you have Mudashiru, you have Klaus, you have Favor, you have just like 10 up to 10, you have 10 persons name. You it's 10. In JavaScript, we index our data from 0. So when you're counting, we count this clause instead of the normal one in mathematics. This clause is actually known as 0. This favor is known as 1, and the next one that will follow known as the second, just like that, third, fourth, fifth, just like that. We don't count like 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we don't do that. We count 0, 1, 2, just like that. Now going over to our dual loop. The dual loop is self-explanatory. So first of all, we initialize I equals to 0 as usual, and then we went over with our dual loop um, code expression. And then first of all, the dual loop, you give your output first before carrying out your condition. That's the funny thing. So after the initialization, you carry out your output. What output do you intend to carry out? The output, after writing out the output, you write whatever your function you want to carry out. Either this one we wrote our own I plus plus. That means we need multiples of this 0 to increase. Let it repeat to you wherever we tell it to stop. So what's the condition? As long as I is what? Less than 2, it should just output the numbers below. And the numbers below, it's starting from 0, 1. When it got to 2, it stopped. If you change this 2 to 5 or 6, so you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, moving on. I will stop at do while loop. I will stop at do while loop. And then when we do our applications, what I mean is when we apply all of these to our codes, like practically, I will go forth, which is with for off loop and for in loop. I want you to grasp these first three first: for loop, the while loop, the do while loop. Going forward, what is an array? What is an array? I want to introduce this concept. I will still come back to them. I'll come back to your functions that you learned on Saturday. I'll come back to all of them. We would use all of them to apply to a practical example. I just want to be able to drop them in your minds so that you know what they are. Now, what is an array? An array is a special variable that can hold multiple values in a single variable name. I know I taught this some days back, but I'm just trying to touch it again because most persons did not grasp it and they did not complain. So please pay attention. An array, because you'll be using an array almost all the time. An array is a special variable that can hold multiple values in a single variable name. Think of it like a box with compartments storing related data. Remember I told you guys, an array is just like a handbag for you ladies. It's like a school bag, you know, for we guys. It's like that backpack you take to your work that has your laptop, your notebook, pen, ID card, and the rest of that. Your backpack contains a lot of things inside of it. An array is that backpack. An array is that handbag you as a lady carry. An array is like your house you built or you rented that carries your properties, your wardrobe and the rest, and your bed where you sleep. An array is like a car that carries people. An array is like a train that carries individuals, transporting individuals. It's also like a plane. An array can be described as these things, but know that it is actually a container that stores multiple values, that stores data. Remember, a variable can store one data. A variable can store one data. An array can store multiple data. If you just want to store a single data, you use a variable. If you're storing multiple data, an array is what you'd use. An array is what you would use. Now moving on, how do you create an array? How do you create an array? Let's Klaus, can you still see my screen? Klaus, can you still see my screen and hear me clearly?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Can.
Thank you. So an array, as I said, can store multiple data. A variable stores just one data. Know the difference. Know the difference. Moving on, how do you create an array? How to create an array? So when you're creating an array, it is not far-fetched how it's almost like the same way you create a variable. Yes. So you would still make use of those keywords, the const keyword, the let keyword, or the var keyword, any of them. So in this scenario, you choose whatever keyword you want to use and then go on. Let me now say I want to store in names of CareerEx students in front-end development. Let's go on. If you can see my screen clearly, you would see that I have created an array. This array does not carry any data. Yes, the array does not contain any data, but it has been created. Now, how do you now go on to store data inside of it? You come inside of here. Now you can see that it's not the usual, it's not this one you're to use. You're to use the brackets, the square brackets. Now, how do you store data inside of it? I want to be able to store in names of CareerX front-end students. So remember, variable, if I'm just storing just a single name of CareerX front-end student name, I would use variable. But since it is multiple names of CareerX front-end development class, what should I do? I would use an array, and then I'll go inside the bracket and I'll start. First of all, I'll put my double quote and I'll start class. I'll use class. I have stored in a data which is class. I'll go on which person's name. I would store in kids. Kids. I've stored in a second um, student's name. I will also go on and put a comma and store in Mudashiru. Mudashiru. So successfully, let me break this to the next line so that everybody sees everything clearly. Why it's showing like this is because Mudashiru is not a English name, so it's not able to recognize it. That's why if I use favor now, so you can see. So you can see it clearly. And it's not like we have errors. This is supposed to actually be on the same line, but just because I want you guys to see, you can still use this. You can use anyhow you want it. Still correct. So that everyone can see my screen clearly. Now going further, const front end student equal space equals to your square bracket and then your double quote. Inside of it, you store the first data, comma, Kate, comma, favor. As simple as it is and it looks, you've been able to store in 3 successful data, 3 names of students in CareerEx front-end class have been stored inside an array name. Now, please don't make the mistake of not using these brackets. If you use the other bracket, it is not recognizable as an array. Yes, it is not recognizable as an array. Now, we have what we call, and now remember, I told you guys, and in JavaScript, in programming in general, we start counting from 0, not by 1. Arrays are 0 indexed also. The first item is known as index 0. Leave the big English. What I mean is we have three names inside this array now. Klaus, Kate, and Favor. Klaus, Kate, and Favor. Please don't do the mistake of counting Klaus as 1, Kate as 2, Favor as 3. No. Klaus, as you see, is 0. Kate is 1. Favor is 2. The next one I'll put is 3. So it's not your usual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. It is 0, it is 1, it is 2. Now we have what we call array methods. Array methods. We have what is called array methods, and then the first array methods we'll be learning is called the push array method. This is how it is. Yes, the push array method. And what does this method do? This method called push pushes a data to the end of this array. So for instance, if I want to add an extra name to this, all I need to do is use the push method and add it to it. As simple as that. Now let us practicalize it. So let us practicalize it. All I will do now is pick the name of the array, which is front-end student, and then I will now come here and I will now put front-end student. I will now put, let me remove this so it doesn't confuse you. Front-end student dot push, and then I will now put a bracket. Then inside of it, I will now put what? Okay, let me write my name, Simi. I'm not a student though, but let me just write my name, Simi. Yes, so Simi is not an English name. That's why you can see this highlighted. Now, front-end student dot push Simi, you can see. If you run the code, let's run the code and see. So I'm supposed to console log this. All right. So you can see we have Klaus, Kate, Favor, and Timmy. Now you will not be wondering, see Klaus, Kate, Favor, Timmy. But in the code, where is Timmy? Timmy is not here. So the push method, the first method we are learning is the push method. And what does the push do? The push enables you to put additional data into the existing data. So the first data, the initial data is Klaus, Kate, Favor, but we don't have any Timmy. But with the help of the method of push, we're able to push Timmy and add it to the array data set. Now, the second method going forward is called the pop method. It's called the pop method. And what does the pop method do? The pop method removes a data from the array. So I would come here, let me just come here and copy. Let me copy this. Yes. So I'll just change here to pop. Pop. And what name do I want to pop? Let me remove Timmy. No, let me remove Kate. Let me remove Kate. Kate has been expelled from the school. So let me remove Kate. And then let me run our code again. Node script.js. Okay, remove. Sorry. The pop method, I mistake this for no. So the pop method removes the last. Sorry, it removes the last data on the array. It removes the last data from the array. Sorry about that. I was the one who made mistake. So the pop method actually removes the last data from the array. Moving forward, the next method is called the shift method. The shift method. And what does the shift method do? The shift method removes data from the beginning. So we're expecting that this clause will not be there when applied. So I'll come here and change this to shift. Yeah. So the shift method removes data from the beginning of the data set. That is what the shift method can do. So Klaus is off our data. Please, Klaus, can you confirm you can hear me and see my screen perfectly well?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much. This is what array methods can do. Going further, let's also treat the next. The next is called the unshift method. And what does the unshift method do? Just as the name implies, it is unshifting the shift. Sorry for using that language, it's not correct though. But since you use the shift to remove that first thing that was added, now let us use the shift method, the unshift, to add to the beginning of the array. So I'll come beneath just the same way I did, and then front end student dot shift. So I'll come here and write on shift, and then inside of here I'll write the clause back. Clause. Yes, so I'll write on shift then clause. And then let me clear this shift so that it doesn't. Oh, let me keep it there. There's no need. Let's run our code and see. So you can see clause has been added. Clause. Now one may now ask, why is it that but we have the shift method existing? Why did it not counter? It runs from up to down. Your codes run from up to down. So the first, when we run our code, it applied the push method, the pop method, the shift method, the unshift. The unshift was able to add the elements, the data back to the beginning. Now going forward, you can also come here and write Timmy or leave the clause I use. Maybe you want to use another name, maybe Chris, So you come here, node script.js. So you can see Chris has been added, Chris, Kate, and Favor. Simple as that, very simple. The next method is called the length method. The length method. Now, this method is used to know the amount, what is the amount of data inside this array. So all you need to do is the same way, front end students dot length. Yep. Front end students dot length. That's all. So I would node script. We have an error. Sorry. What is okay. We'll come back for this. So the length method is actually used to know the number of items in the array. The length method is actually used to know the number of length method. We also have the index of method. We also have the includes method, and then we have the join method. They are like up to 10. What I'll do is I'll probably take my time and then send a resource. Maybe I'll type it myself. I'll type all the methods out together, and drop them on the group so that we become conversant with them. But then, in summary, um, these methods that I've shared thus far, and there are also other ones. These methods help you to actually manipulate, create, and maintain your array data sets in the long run. You would use them continuously as where applicable. So at any point where you need to apply them, you use them. That's the beauty about it. That's the beauty about it. Now, moving on. Because of time, we would use, we would now do an example. And what would that example be? Since we learned a for loop method today, since we learned loops today, we would create an array. After creating an array, we would use a loop method to actually iterate over that array. So I would create a random array. So let's say let's create an array const, maybe, yeah, okay, let's create an array of food. Yeah, an array of foods. Okay. orange. So this is an array of fruits, right? Now we would be able to we have successfully created an array of fruits. Now the next thing I want to do is get a successful I just want to be able to do something with this array. Let's just use our for loop. So I would write for same thing we did the last time. For let's initialize it equals to 0. Okay. Now let me explain what I did. Now we created an array first, and this array contains apple, banana, orange, you know. Now we use the for loop method to give a very beautiful output. Now what we are saying is, first of all, we are giving an initialization to actually carry out. Now we are now saying if I is less than fruit dot length. What is the length of this fruit array? Apple, banana, and orange. 0, 1, and 2, just like I've told you guys. 0, 1, and 2, which is there are 2 in total, right? And 2 is the total length of the fruit array. Now we are now saying that since I is 0, if I is less than the length of the fruit, which is what you're seeing here, and the length of the fruit is 2, and which is 0 is less than what? 2. I should plus plus. As long as I is less than the length of the fruit array, it should give an output. Now let's check our output. So you can see it outputted the data inside of our array, which was apple, banana, and orange. As simple as ABC. As simple as ABC. Now, mind you, if it was a variable or if it was a variable, you won't get this apple, banana, you won't get them. And also, if it wasn't a loop, you wouldn't have gotten this apple, banana output this way. You would have gotten them inside their bracket as an output. That's what for loop can do. For loop can help you do something repeatedly. So the first one would go over the data, inside the data, print out apple, print out banana, print out orange. That's how it works. That's how it works. Now, I think I'll pause here and take in questions. I have said a whole lot. Let me pause there so I'll be taking in 5 or 4 questions and then we'll wrap up for today. So you continue your holidays. So who is the first person going?
So I have a
I have a
question.
question.
Go on.
Okay, for the first
First
assembly case,
assembly
like
case, like
the names,
the name,
like if you have like
like if you have
alternate names
like
or like
alternate
separate
names
names,
or like
how
separate
do you
names,
make it
how do you make
split? That's not
it that's
your
not
code will not
your
look
code will not look
scattered
My
and
dear,
disorganized.
disorganized?
you write it though. If you have 100 names,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you have 100 names, write it. Write it
All
inside
right.
your head. Yeah, that's the work for you. That's why you'll be paid well, and that's why you'll be respected. The hard work in it is very, very okay. Let me not put two distance. So you write it, you hard code it there. But I don't think you'll be given that much scenario where you will need to write 100 people's name. Just create a form and collect people's name and then store it inside whatever you want to store it. You will have better understanding of it, but just know that you're about to get your hands dirty. Now you're dealing with numbers. Who is the second person going forward?
Well done, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
For
sir.
this
For
loop,
this loop,
for loops, we have,
for loops,
for the
we
length
have,
of
for the
we
length
have
of
several, one and two.
one and
And
two.
for loop,
And for
the
loop,
condition
the
states that
condition
I
is that
is less
I
than
is less than
proof of length,
of
that is,
length,
it's
that
less
is
than.
less than.
I don't know whether you're
I
getting
don't
me,
know whether
sir.
you're getting me, sir.
I not hear you well. I just heard you when you're saying 0, 1, and 2.
Okay, what I mean
Okay,
is
what
that
I mean
for
is
the
that
code loop,
for the code loop,
now the
Mm-hmm.
condition
now the
gave me
condition
if
gave
I
me
is
I
equal to
equal
0,
to 0.
then if I
Then
is
if
Mm-hmm.
I
less than
is less
proof
than
of
of
length.
length.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
So I mean,
if we are dealing
if
with
you are
a
dealing
number
with
and it's
number
not
and it's
our
not
proof
our
dot
proof
length,
dot length,
if I
if
is
I
less
is
than
less than
2,
2,
the maximum we
the
can get
maximum we
is
can get
0
is
and
0
1
and 1
for the output,
for
I
the
mean.
output. I mean,
I
So
won't
in this
lie.
case
so
now,
in this
why
case now, why?
I'm kind of confused. What's your question? You just hit the question. Let me hear you.
okay, what I mean is
Okay,
that
what I mean is that
so far I mean
I mean,
I is less
I is
than
less
the
than
length.
the length.
Why is
Why
the
is
output
the
is
output is
equal to length?
equal to length?
So that we have
So that we
apple,
have
banana, and
apple, banana,
orange.
and
We're not
orange. I'm not
talking on the
talking
banana.
on the banana.
So far is less
Why is
than.
less than?
Remember what I said. In JavaScript, we start counting from 0. I said it like 3 times. We start counting from 0. We start counting from 0, 1, 2, 3. We don't count the normal mathematics way that that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We count like if there are 10 persons that like we all know 10 persons is 10 persons. But in JavaScript, we start counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if there's additional person, then it will now become 10. But when we come to mathematics, those 10 persons, those persons can become 11. But in JavaScript, it will be 10. Do you grasp?
But my question
But
is
my
that
question is that
if we are dealing with
we
a
are dealing
number,
with number.
I
If
is
I
less
is
than
less
2,
than 2,
then the input will
then the
be
input will be
0,
0,
1.
1.
I still don't understand you. I don't know if it's only me.
So can I
Is there
talk?
anyone who understand what he's trying
Let
to
me.
say?
I understand
I
what you're
understand
saying.
what you're saying.
Explain.
You say
You say,
the output.
the
You have
output, you have
apple,
apple,
Banana and orange.
and orange.
and
Well, I was
orange.
orange
Why
is
was
10.
orange
Since
is 10?
orange
Orange
is
is
less than 2, I
less than
think.
2. I think
So the condition
so
is
the
I should
question
be
is
less
I
than
should be
2,
less than 2.
and you
And
counting
you
orange
counting
2. So why
orange
was orange
2. So why
included in
was
the
orange
output?
included in output?
This is not less
This
than
is
2.
not less than
Oh,
2.
I understand
So
what
that
you're
was the
saying.
That was
question.
the thing, yes.
Okay. I understand. I now understand what you meant. Oh, beautiful. So,
I just
okay. I understand what you said. Now, what happened was that this my output console.log. Remember, I put in only just fruits and then I put in the I. I did not I think yes, this is a very good question. This is a very good question. It did not respect that the condition I gave it was fruits.length. Look at the condition I gave to it. If I is less than fruits.length, the fruits.length there is the total amount of um data inside the fruits, which is apple, banana, and orange, which is 2, we all know, 0, 1, and 2. I did not, how should I explain this now? I understand what you said perfectly well, but that particular, your expectation that was that it will stop at banana and not get to orange, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I think, not me thinking, but in respectable terms, since I outputted my console log was it should output fruits, the entire fruits. Every of the data inside the fruits should be outputted. So I think let me try this to actually make you understand. So I would
I don't know if I can just understand because I understand and I know the reason why it's so
hold on, hold on, hold on. In simpler terms, let me explain. Now, we used a for loop to actually give an output of our entire data inside the fruits array. What I did, and then why you're having this is because the condition we gave it was if I is less than the fruit dot length. The I that is less than the fruit dot length is that the entire amount, the entire index amount, which is 2, and respectively the condition is met. So the entire data inside the fruit would be outputted. I don't know if I am able to make you understand, but let me just do this and then try to make you understand. So I'll add an additional fruit there. Let me add mango. Okay. And then, so let's run our code again. All right, so you can see that we have apple, banana, orange, and mango. Now, in this scenario, that particular, it's not limited to the laws of, okay, don't exceed. Remember why teaching you guys for loop? I taught you guys, okay, when it gets to, because the 5 we put here. So if I change this fruit dot length now to 5, if I change it to 5 now, it should just stop at 5. No, but in this scenario, we are saying that we are just using that number as reference, like the total length, which is currently now 3, the total length, as long as it is 0 is less than 3, it should output the entire data inside of the fruit array, which I did below, console.log fruit. So it's not respecting that indexing of obeying that when it gets to the 4th one. No, we are not doing that at this point. It's just the main aim is I'm going to respect the condition and then give the entire output inside the fruit array. I don't know if you've been able to understand, but I think I'll shed more light maybe in a more clearer terms. Maybe by the time I do an example that has to do with numbers, plainly numbers. So yeah, that's that. Who has a question?
Me, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What I want to
What I
ask
want to ask
is
is
still based on what the
what
person
the
was
person
saying.
was saying.
Okay.
On this
This
equipment
equipment
sign.
sign.
If let's assume that we
Let's
use
assume
the
that we use the
decrement based
based
on
on
this
this
example
example
that you
you
did.
did.
With
The last,
the mango
the
that is
mango
the
that is
last,
the
will he
last,
be able
will he
to
be able
provide
to
it
provide it or
or not?
not?
I didn't get that.
What I
I
mean
didn't
is
What
get
I
that
your
mean is
question
that
in clearer terms.
this
this
equipment, it means
equipment,
that
it means
it's a
that
hard
it's a hard one
according to
according to
Okay.
the
the
exam.
exam.
So now
So
we
now
are
we are
using
using
words here,
words
not
here,
number.
not number.
So I'm asking if we use the decrement, which is I minus with the last word, which is mango, will this me be able to appear on our output or not?
Yes, yes, sure. Wait, you're asking, wait, hold on. I think I missed a part of your question. If you use this decrement, if you, this increment is not here.
Yes, that we use decrement.
No, it won't. It won't. In your output, it won't output. It won't.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't. Next person. All right. So I think I'll pause here and then we'll continue from next class. I'll continue from the next class. So this is the part where I don't like people being confused. What we will do is we will do more